Hello and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how I turned my favorite 2-piece kayak paddle into a 5-piece packrafting paddle. I wasn't a big fan of the bent shaft, but the lightweight and big blades were great for packrafting. So I measured the outer and inner diameter of the carbon shaft and then started looking online for carbon fiber tubing that would match up. I found some reasonably priced tubes that were 50 centimeters long. So I bought 2 that were the same diameter as the paddle shaft, and 2 that were the next size down, so they would fit perfectly inside the existing shaft and the new tubes. I cut the blades off the shaft, leaving a short section of straight tubing for the new shaft to slide into. To make sure the cut lines were perpendicular to the shaft, I wrapped a piece of paper around it and lined up the edges. After making the cuts, I cleaned up the dust and tested the fit. The inside of the shaft wasn't perfectly smooth, so I sanded it until I got a good fit. Then I did the same for the other blade. Then I cut a short length of the smaller diameter tubing I had bought to join the blade to the new shaft. I tested the fit and it made a nice stiff joint. To make packing the paddle easier, I wanted all the pieces to be about the same length, so I cut the new shaft down a bit. This is a major flaw in some commercially available 4-piece paddles. They have one piece that is much longer than the others, and it won't fit in a backpack or a suitcase, so it kind of defeats the purpose. Anyway, I did the same thing for the other blade, and then roughed up the surfaces I wanted to glue together. I mixed up some epoxy, applied a small amount to the inside of the larger tubes, and slid the pieces together to the lines I had drawn. After the epoxy cured, I slid the new shafts into the blade and drilled holes for button clips, which I had found online. Now I had the 2 halves of the paddle, but I still needed to make a centerpiece to join them together. I used the smaller diameter carbon fiber tube for this, because there's not as much stress on this part of the paddle. I like to have a 30-degree offset in my paddle blades, so I did some quick math to figure out where to drill the hole for the second button clip. I got rid of the old rubber water deflector rings, which weighed about 10 grams each, and replaced them with loops of shock cord, which weigh next to nothing and perform just as well. Once it was all done, I weighed the paddle and it was even lighter than before. I used some leftover carbon fiber tubing to make an end cap for the shaft, so I can also use it as a trekking pole without damaging the fittings. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.